It's 9 p.m. Monday night, while the rest of the world slows down. You're tuning in to the Final Boss podcast. This is Motivation Mondays, where mindsets shift, hustle gets honored, and the 6 pillars of success get broken all the way down. We're talking motivation, resilience, sacrifice, consistency, persistence, and perseverance. Hosted by the one and only Turbo, the CEO, bringing real talk, raw stories, and relentless energy to spark your week with purpose. So lock in, take notes, and remember, success ain't just a dream, it's a discipline.
Welcome to the Final Boss podcast, episode number 182. Take care of that. All right. Look, staticky. Interesting. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. Listen, I got a great show for you tonight, man. As soon as I get situated, right? So as soon as I get situated now, perfect. All right. Welcome to Motivation Monday. Welcome to Motivation Monday. This is where you get the what? Your motivation for the week, man. Motivation for the week as we look at motivation from a aspect of not energy, but guess what? You know what? Discipline. And this right here is your textbook. Go time, all aboard, the fired up train. This is your motivation workbook. This is your motivation textbook. This is where we're going to be teaching from each and every last single one of these motivation episodes, man. That's where we're going to be teaching from Go Time, all aboard, the fired up train, where all books are sold. All right. So now, man, we've heard the motivation train of the evening. Let's get right into tonight's episode, man. But of course, I have a few admin notes that I need to get out of the way. Please continue to like, share, subscribe to the channel, to wherever you see us: Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitch, Kick, Spotify, right? For your listening pleasures. Instagram, of course. Soon to be on X, man. Yeah, we're going to be on X very soon. They want us to have a premium account. So I guess that's the going measure these days. So that's what we're going to have to do. So we'll be on X soon, man, so we can entertain you guys some more and give you some more great information. And by the way, this is for entertainment purposes only. Let's see who's on right now. We got a few people who are in the building. Of course, the beautiful Andrea's in the building. We got Shakande in the building. We got many others who are here in the building. I don't know why my Instagram didn't come up. There we go. And Andre, that is for you specifically. You know exactly what that was, and it was dedicated to you. All right. So, man, like, share, subscribe. Go check out our website, man. Go check out our website at www.thefinalbosspodcast.com. That's www.thefinalbosspodcast.com. Go check out the website. You can see each and every last single one of our episodes. If this information resonates with you and you want to be a part of the Final Boss family, please shoot us an email at info@thefinalbosspodcast. That's info@thefinalbosspodcast.com. So we can start the vetting process so you can be part of the Final Boss podcast community, right? Community, nation, and family. That's what we're building here. Community, nation, and family. So we got that out the way, man. Listen, tonight is episode number 182. 182, right? So this is, as we conclude season 3, The Reckoning, right? We have 18 more episodes to go until the season finale. 18 more episodes to go before the season finale, right? And tonight we're going to be talking about breaking through your operating system, right? We're going to be my favorite color. That's a great question. My favorite color is probably green for the moment. It is green for the moment. Let's go team green, man. If green's your favorite color right now in this moment, man, drop in the chat, man. Drop in the chat your favorite color. If your color is green or whatever your favorite color is, drop it in the chat, man. Right? You know, Motivation Monday, man. I bring the energy. I look. I'm motivated. Look, let's get into it. Let's get into it. I'm super hyped. I'm super energetic, man. I have all the energy of the world, and it's sitting right here on my shoulders, right? Sitting right here on my shoulders, right? As you can see. Yeah. Right? I should be in the WWE, right? No, not really. But look, breaking through our operating system, right? The operating system that's encased in this right here, right? So let's get into it, right? Because what's good, right? What's good? What's really good? What's good? Final bosses, motivators, smarts, motivators. What's good, right? We coming to you live. We coming to you live on Motivation Mondays, right? Episode 182, and I'm excited, man. 18 more episodes to go. And you guys are going to find out a lot about me in the next 18 episodes. You're going to find a lot about yourselves in the next 18 episodes. You're going to find a lot about the show in the next 18 episodes. And we go away from the old and bring in the new with season 4, which is going to be the rebirth, right? The rebirth. Now listen. Tonight's episode is going to make you it may make some of you uncomfortable. I'm sorry. I have to do it. This is where we have the most difficult of conversations, right? Right here on the Final Boss. Because we're talking about the one thing nobody wants to admit, right? We're talking about the one thing nobody wants to admit, right? And it took me a while to even admit it myself, right? Myself, right? And that very thing is this. Your stubbornness isn't strength. It's your soul screaming that you're running on outdated programming. Right? Your stubbornness isn't strength. It's your soul screaming that you're running on outdated programming. Right? Now, we got that out the way. Let me ask you something. What happens when your operating system can no longer perform the task required of you? Right? When your internal capacity hits a ceiling so hard it cracks, you have two choices. You have two. Uno, dos. Two, right? My smarts know this, right? Either you're going to upgrade or you're going to become obsolete, right? You're going to become obsolete. And I'm not talking about your computer. I'm not talking about your phone. I'm talking about your inner being, right? Right here. I'm talking about your inner being. Your character architecture, your belief systems, your decision-making frameworks. I'm talking about the software that runs your life, right? And tonight, we're diving into something I call the Character OS Upgrade Protocol, right? This is a tier 3 framework that combines the 6 C's of character compass with the fired up train methodology to systematically upgrade the operating system of your soul, right? This is not beginner content, right? This is elite execution. This is elite execution material, right? This is how you go from running Windows 95 in a quantum computing world to becoming the architect of your own upgrade, right? 350,000 of you watching right now, drop a fire emoji. Drop a fire emoji right now, right? Drop a fire emoji, right? And drop that if you're tired of hitting the ceiling, right? Drop that if you're tired of hitting the ceiling. And you know what? Let's get right into it. Let's get right into it, right? Hey, Jagandi, I see you. Thank you. So, first of all, to those who are new, welcome. And those who aren't new and familiar, welcome back, right? Welcome back, my motivators, my warriors, and all my critical thinkers and curious minds in the Final Boss community. Here's what we're covering tonight, right? This is going to be broken down into a couple parts, right? Part 1 is the OS ceiling phenomenon, right? Why your stubbornness is a system alert, not a character flaw. And part 2, the 6 C's of character compass, right? Your upgrade requirements. These are what your upgrade requirements consist of. Character, check. Competence, check. Connections, check. Capital, check. Consistency, check. Contribution, check. Those terms sound familiar? They sound familiar. Probably like the 6 pillars of success. Similar, but not same, right? But not the same. 6 pillars of success, 6 C's of character compass, right? 2 different platforms, 2 different frameworks, right? And then part 3. Part 3 is going to be the fired up train, right? Your installation protocol, right? We're going to dive into the acronym of what the fired up train really is. I mentioned it before on Thursday's episode of last week. Go back and check it out if you haven't seen it, right? Go back and run it back. Go back and check it out. We're going to talk about the fired up train methodology and the acronym, right? That is your installation protocol. F is focus. I is intensity. R is resilience. E is execution. D is discipline, right? That's the word fired and then up, right? Fired up. That's what that is. And then train is its own acronym, right? And it has its own framework, right? T is training. R is responsibility. A is accountability. I is integrity, and N is navigation, right? And then we're going to go into part 4. Part 4 is the integration model, right? When frameworks marriage create elite execution. Elite execution. And then we're going to talk about part 5. Part 5 is the upgrade decision, right? That is your reckoning moment. This isn't motivation corn with a P. This is systematic transformation backed by 23 years of experience, right? 23 years of experience. I'm not asking you to believe in, I'm not even going to say that, right? That's not what I'm going to say. I had to catch myself right there. I will say this. I'm not asking you to believe me. I'm asking you to execute with me, right? Because we're on this journey together, right? I don't have all the answers. But we're on this journey together as we get on board what? The fired up train. Now, let me paint a picture for you, right? Let me paint a picture for you, right? And in this picture, man, we're talking about our very dear country, right? We're talking about all the events that took place on September 9/11, right? September 11th, 2001. And in that moment, You watched several types of people emerge, if you can remember, right? Type 1 were the people whose operating systems froze. They couldn't process, they couldn't decide, they couldn't move. Their internal software wasn't built for this level of threat, right? And then you had type 2 people, the people who weren't operating on systems, right? That they built, that adapted. They processed rapidly. They made decisions. They executed. Their internal software had redundancy, flexibility, and resilience. The difference wasn't courage. It wasn't training alone. It was operating system capacity. Now, let me bring this into your life, right? Stay with me. I'm going nowhere. Stay with me. Just getting started, right? Let me bring this into your life, Final Bosses. Your stubbornness, that resilience, that resistance you feel when people tell you to change, right? That defensiveness you experience when someone challenges your methods, that rigidity in your thinking, right? It's not a character flaw, right? It's a system alert. Ding, 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 ding. That's a system alert. Your internal operating system is telling you, I cannot process these new requirements. I was not built for this level of complexity, right? I am at my capacity, right? Think about it like this, right? Think about it like this. A 32-bit system can't run 64-bit software, right? A single core processor can't compete with quad core efficiency, right? And 4 gigs of RAM can't multitask 32 gigs of RAM, right? And a hard drive can't match a SSD drive speed, right? So your inner being works exactly the same, right? I say all the time, we're like computers. We have more in common with computers than we realize, right? Your character architecture is built on fear, which is you can't process what's in front of you right now, right? Scarcity. You can't execute abundance, right? You can't execute abundance of strategies, right? And then fixed mindset. You can't adapt, right, to what's going on, right? Victim mentality. You can't claim sovereignty, right? And then comfort. You can't sustain growth because you can't get out of your comfort zone, right? And then your yield, right? Your output, your results, your impact will always be limited, right? Not because you're not working hard, but because you're running outdated programming. And here's the brutal truth about this, right? Most people won't tell you. Most people won't tell you. But the final boss is. I'm going to tell you right now, right? Your effort means nothing if you're operating on a system that can't support your vision. You could work 18-hour days, right? You can work 18-hour days on a Commodore 64. Y'all remember Commodore 64, right? You could work 18 hours on a Commodore 64 and still lose to someone working 8 hours on a MacBook Pro. The question isn't, am I working hard enough? The question is my operating system built for where I'm trying to go? Now, a lot of you need to ask yourself this question and be honest. Be honest, right? Because I know for a fact that a lot of you, right? Your vision and where you're trying to go, the system that you're trying to push that vision on, that system isn't built for that vision. The system of you and where you are right now currently is not built for that vision. You need to grow more. You need to upgrade, right? You need to upgrade the hardware, people. You need to upgrade the hardware. In order for you to satisfy that vision and complete that discipline, you need to upgrade the hardware, right? And most of you, if you're honest, most of you, you know this. You know this. And you're saying to yourself, you know what? Final boss is right. final boss is right. My operating system is not built for where I'm trying to go, right? That means you need to upgrade, right? So let me tell you how you know you've hit your OS ceiling. Let me tell you how you know you hit your OS ceiling, right? Symptom number one, you have what is called decision paralysis. Again, decision paralysis, right? You used to make decisions quickly. Now every choice feels like a crisis. That's not wisdom. That's your processor overheating, right? Symptom number two, right? Repeated failures in the same area. You keep failing at the same thing over and over again, right? Same relationship patterns, same business mistakes, same financial disasters. That's not bad luck. That's corrupted code running the same faulty algorithm, right? Time to upgrade. Symptom number three, resistance to new information. Someone gives you feedback and you immediately get defensive. Someone shows you a better way and you get it and you reject it. That's not confidence. That, my friends, that's your system protecting itself from data it can't process. Time to upgrade. Symptom number four, emotional crashes, right? You know how they say, how the meme says, emotional damage. Yeah, the emotional crashes, right? Your emotions crash under pressure. You crash out. This is why you're crashing out. You need to upgrade, right? Small problems create big emotional responses. Minor setbacks feel catastrophic. That's not sensitivity. That's system overload, people, right? Now, symptom number five, right? Symptom number five is the stuck feeling. You're working hard, but getting nowhere. You're putting in effort, but seeing no results. That's not plateau. That's operating at maximum capacity with insufficient architecture, right? This is where you upgrade. With Go Time, all aboard the fired up train. This is your upgrade manual. This is your upgrade workbook. This is your upgrade textbook. Listen, this is where you get upgraded, right? Right here. But not solely by this, man, by the whole entire Go Time system, which will be out very soon, right? This is only part one. So let me tell you about something, man. Let me tell you about being deployed in Operation Enduring Freedom, right? Because we're building networks in hostile territory under regular mortar attacks, which are constant, right? Limited resources, very true, right? Critical timelines, and things were high stakes, right? And I watched soldiers with identical training produce completely different results. Why? Why? Because of OS capacity, operating system capacity, right? Some soldiers had operating systems built on rigid doctrine. They broke under chaos. Some had fear of failure. They hesitated at critical moments. Some had individual glory. They couldn't collaborate under pressure. Other soldiers had operating systems built on adaptive protocols. They improvised solutions, mission focused. They executed despite fear. Team sovereignty. They multiplied force through collaboration, right? Same training, same equipment, same mission, different operating systems, right? And here's what I learned here's what I learned that changed everything. You can upgrade your operating system at any time, at any point, but you can't do it while running at full capacity. You have to create space. You have to allocate resources, right? You have to commit to the upgrade process. Most people won't do it. They'd rather keep running their outdated system until it crashes completely, right? Because that's comfortable for them. They want to crash out. Right? These people want to crash out. You hear them all the time. I'm about to crash out. You're about to crash out because you want to crash out, right? You need to upgrade, right? Don't be most people. Don't be most people, right? Now, let's pivot for a second. Let's talk about the 6 C's of your system requirements to upgrade. Nothing like high quality H2O, right? 2 parts hydrogen, 1 part oxygen. Man, let's go. The 6 C's to upgrade your operating system, right? Because you got to know what the requirements are, right? Now, let's get into the mechanics of it. The 6 C's of character compass aren't just principles. They're your system requirements for next level operation, right? Character number 1 is, guess what? Character number 1, let me say that again. C1 is character. This is your core code. Character is what runs in the background when nobody's watching. It's your integrity subroutines, your honesty protocols, your ethical frameworks, right? Character needs to be solid. When your character is solid, people trust you, right? They trust you with high level operations. They trust you with high level information, right? And then you have to ask yourself, character, right? Does my character need upgraded? Right? Ask yourself this question. If you're thinking about that, you need to upgrade your character. Ask yourself this: does your character code support 7-figure success, or are you running street level ethics trying to play in boardrooms? Right? It's business, but it can be applicable to personal and relationship. Always, right? Scale up or scale down, right? Then, after you think about that question, think about the fired up trained application, right? Discipline. Can you automate your integrity so it runs without conscious effort, right? Can you align every component of your system with your core values, right? And then make sure you think about this as we at the end of the show we go into our call to actions. Think about this action step, right? Think about this week. Identify one area where you're privately and quiet, right? Maybe you're trying to meditate. Think about your operating system, right? And think about where your private operating system differs from your public presentation, right? If there's a problem, then you need to fix that corruption, right? You need to upgrade. C2, right? C2 is competence, right? This is your processing power. Competence is your ability to execute at high levels consistently. It's your skill stack, knowledge base, technical capabilities, right? And get this, competence, right? Competence, right? Remember, thinking about 9/11, think about this, right? There was chaos all around us, everywhere, right? There were people who survived and people who were helping others who weren't so lucky, right? Those people had competence. They knew the building. They knew emergency protocols. They knew how to lead under pressure. The competence wasn't built before the crisis. You can't install crisis management software during the crisis. Now ask yourself this question: are your competencies current for 2026 competition? Or are you trying to compete with 2016 skills, right? And here's the fired up train application, right? Focus. Be laser focused, man. Laser target the one competency that's 10 times your value, right? And then intensity. Practice that skill at peak efficiency levels, right? Whatever that skill is. And training, continuous, right? You need continuous training, continuous skill development. Constantly training, constant. Every single day, you should be training on something new, right? And there's your action step for this plan, right? Pick one skill that would 10 times your value, right? Dedicate 60 minutes daily training time over the next 30 days, right? Track your progress, right? Write it down, share it back with the community, right? And C3, this is your connections, right? This is your network architecture. You are the average of your 5 closest connections. That's not philosophy, that's physics. Your network determines information flow, opportunity, access, collaborative capacity. Now, real talk. When I was in the federal service, right, 23 years, my network determined my next move, not my resume, not my credentials, my connections, right? SatDigiNet exists because I had relationships with decision makers who knew my character and competence, right? Now ask yourself this question. Are your connections elevating your operating system or keeping you locked in legacy mode, right? Ask yourself that question. And then think about the fired up train application, right? The first application is understanding. Are you studying successful people's networks and not just their skills, right? Are you navigating strategically, looking at how connections are built and those connections, how can you align with those connections and the promise of whatever the successful destination may be, right? Now, the action step for that. This week, audit your 5 closest connections. I've said this before, right? Audit your 5 closest connections. Are they running the operating system you're trying to build? If not, it's time to upgrade. Time to upgrade your network, right? Now, C4, this is capital. This is your resource allocation. Capital isn't just money, it's time, energy, attention, and financial resources. How you allocate capital determines your execution velocity, right? And then for me, it's going to always be the chai factor, man. The chai factor. Chai factor, chai factor, chai factor. My daughter is my primary motivation, right? Every capital allocation decision runs through this filter. Does this build legacy for her, right? This filter has saved me more than millions of times, right? And stopped me from wasting capital on just craziness, right? Right? Just craziness, right? Because opportunities that look good aren't always good for you, right? Some of those opportunities don't align with what you're trying to do, right? Look at the people, man. People who wanted access but couldn't add value, right? Look at them, right? And then look at the projects that would work but wouldn't compound, right? You got to make sure that whatever you're doing is compounding, right? Why else do it? Why else do it, man? It's about growth, right? Now, ask yourself this question. Are you investing capital in system upgrades or wasting it on system maintenance? A lot of you guys are wasting on system maintenance, right? You're wasting on maintenance versus upgrading, right? Now, here's the fired up application, right? Execution. Deploy capital decisively on high return of investment upgrades, right? Precision, exact collaboration on resource allocation, right? And then responsibility, own every capital decision completely. This is important, right? This is important because even if you make a bad decision on using your capital resources, that bad decision, you need to own it. You need to own it. That's how you own their energy and able to move on from it. Yes, it was bad, but you were able to move on from it. And when you're able to move on from it, guess what? That opens the doors for more opportunities versus being stuck behind that same door, man. Just like the Price is Right, man. I'm trying to tell you, listen. And then C5 is consistency. This is your reliability. This is your reliability protocol, right? Consistency transforms potential into performance. It's the difference between a system that crashes under load and one that scales effortlessly, right? Here's the truth. Here's the military truth, right? Soldiers who survived combat weren't always the most talented, but they were the most consistent. They maintained their weapons consistently, right? They followed protocols consistently. They communicated consistently. Consistently under pressure is what separates amateurs from professionals, right? Now ask yourself this question. Does your operating system run reliably under pressure? Or does it freeze when it matters most, right? Does it freeze? Because if it freezes, it's time to upgrade. It's time to upgrade that operating system, right? And here's the fired up train application, right? Resilience, build system redundancies and recover protocols, right? Accountability, performance metrics with external verification, right? And then navigation, course correction without system failure, right? And here's your action item for that, right? Identify your biggest consistency gap. The area where you're inconsistent. Build one daily discipline that closes that very gap, right? And the last C is contribution. The last C is contribution. This is your legacy output, right? Because contribution is what your operating system produces for others. It's the impact your upgraded system has on the world. This is the reckoning, right? This is the reckoning. 18 episodes until season 3 ends. Every episode is a contribution to the Final Boss community. Every framework is legacy architecture for my beautiful daughter, right? This isn't content creation. This is generational wealth building, right? Through intellectual property, right? Now, ask yourself this. Is your current system designed to extract or to add value at scale? And here's the fired up train application, right? Here's the fired up train application, right? All fired up components direct toward maximum contribution. All train components ensure contribution sustainability, right? And here's your action item, right? Define your legacy. Write down in 10 what it looks like in 10 years, right? What you will be known for in 10 years, right? Write that down. That's your legacy. Then ask yourself, does my current operating system support that very outcome, right? Ask yourself that question, man. This is very important, right? Everything we do is accountability. It's accountability. You have to write it down, man. You have to see and measure. It's all metrics. It's data. You're the operating system that puts out data. Everything you do is data. That's metrics that can be measured, right? So let's get into the brass tacks, man. Let's get into the brass tacks. But let me drink some of this good high quality H2O because I'm on fire. Right? This is the brass tacks for tonight. Your stubbornness is a strength when it's rooted in an operating system that can't perform the task required for your next level. You're not resistant to change. You're protecting outdated programming, upgrade, or become obsolete. There is no third option. There's no third option. And that, my friends, comes from the one and only, you guessed it, the final boss. It came from the final boss. That's right, people. That's the brass tacks, final bosses. Now, let's talk about how you execute this upgrade, right? Let's talk about that. Because the 6 C's tell you what you need. The fired up train tells you how to install it, right? This is a 12 component methodology, right? The fired up train is your ignition sequence, the mindset, and execution of the framework. Train is your operational maintenance. It's the sustainability system, right? Now, let me break this down for you in depth and with tactical application, right? F is in Frank, F is in Foxtrot, F is for focus, people, focus. You need to be laser targeted, laser focused, right? Because focus isn't about trying to concentrate. Focus is a systematic elimination of every process that doesn't serve your upgrade, right? That doesn't serve your upgrade. And for your operating systems to upgrade, you need to identify at least one of the C's, right, out of the 6. That's your biggest bottleneck, right? You need to eliminate every activity that doesn't directly upgrade that particular C, right? And then you need to say no to good opportunities and the good opportunities that distract you from great ones, right? And think about this. Here's your fired up train focus formula, right? In the morning, identify one system upgrade and one task, right? In the next 3 hours, with no interruptions, and no interruptions, do no multitasking, right? Execute single-minded completion, right? And then think about, did this move help clear up the bottleneck, right? In this week, right? Pick one of the 6 C's, focus on only one for 7 days, right? Ignore everything else. Watch what happens, right? Then the next letter in the fired up train methodology is I. I is for igloo. I is for I need another I word. I is for intentional. I in this particular matter is for intensity. I was about to say another I word, but no, I'm not. I is for intensity. This is your maximum operational power. Intensity isn't working harder. It's operating at peak efficiency when it counts, right? Now, for your OS to upgrade, right? Half committed system updates create more problems than they solve. When you upgrade with full intensity, right? And then this week, right? Pick the weakest C. Dedicate 60 minutes of intense practice daily. No phone, no distractions, pure execution, right? That's how you upgrade. That's how you upgrade with I, right? The next letter is R, right? The next letter is R. R is for Romeo. R is for roll up Robert. R is for resilience, right? Sounds familiar. Resilience. Isn't that one of the 6 pillars of success? Yes, it is. But guess what? It's also part of the fired up train methodology, right? They coincide with one another, people, right? R is for resilience. This is your system redundancy and recovery, right? Resilience is your ability to bounce back from crashes, learn from errors, implement patches quickly, right? And for your OS, your old system will fight to stay relevant. Your environment will resist your change. Your relationships will test your new programming, right? Your resilience equals expectation management plus recovery speed, right? That's the formula. Expectation management plus recovery speed. That's your formula to resilience, right? And here's the fired up train resilience system, right? You have to expect resilience, right? I'm sorry, too many R's. You have to expect resistance. Your upgrade will be uncomfortable. Plan for it, right? Build redundancies, multiple pathways to the same outcome, right? Have fast recoveries. When you crash, debug and reboot in 24 hours max, right? And then you have to have systems that learn, right? Every failure is data from the upgrade, right? And this week, identify your most common failure point. Build 2 backup systems for that particular area, right? And the next letter, right? The next letter is E. E is for echo. E is for Eric. E is for execution, right? This is your command line performance. Execution is where theory meets reality. Your upgraded OS is worthless if you don't execute the commands, right? In the military, right? In combat, execution happens under fire. You don't wait for perfect conditions. You execute with the information you have. And this is how you upgrade your OS, right? Stop planning the upgrade. Stop researching the upgrade. Stop preparing for the upgrade. And this is what you need to do. You need to start executing the upgrade, right? And here's the fired up execution formula, right? You need bias to be biased toward action. Imperfect action beats perfect planning every single time, right? Rapid iteration, execute, access, adjust, repeat, wash, rinse, repeat, right? And then proof of concept. Small wins builds momentum for big wins. I say all the time, man, small battles win wars. Small battles wins wars, right? And this week, right? Stop talking about what you're going to do. Pick one upgrade action and execute it today, not tomorrow, today, right? So let's go into the next letter. The next letter is the letter D, right? D is for dog. D is for Delta. D is for discipline, right? Discipline. This is your automated excellence, right? Discipline is automation. It's turning conscious effort into unconscious competence, right? 23 years of service has taught me this thing. The difference between high performers and everyone else, high performers automate their excellence through discipline. Their good behaviors run automatically, right? And to upgrade, you want to know how to upgrade your OS? Of course you do. Think about it like this. You can't think your way through every decision. You need automated protocols that run without manual input, right? And here's your fired up discipline, right? Here's the fired up discipline architecture for that. In the morning, first 60 minutes, right? You set the tone for the day, right? You think about one discipline that can cascade into another. Build a habit, right? And then look at your environmental design, right? Make the discipline the path of least resistance, right? And for use this as an example, I usually wake up around between 4:30 and 5, sometimes a lot earlier, right? And I'm all automated, no alarm clock, it's automatic, right? First 60 minutes, right? Of automation, do something, go to the gym, right? Start figuring out your day, right? Whiteboard it, right? Look at your look board, whatever it is, man. Lock in, right? Lock in, right? These aren't decisions anymore. They're default settings, right? And this week, I want you to pick one discipline that would upgrade your weakest C, right? Do it daily, same time, same way for 30 days, right? And then we're at the letter U, right? U is for umbrella. U is for uniform. U is for understanding, right? This is your deep system comprehension, right? This is understanding of knowing why your system works the way it does, right? This is surface level knowledge that creates surface level upgrades, right? Understanding that the system is vulnerable, right? Understand that you're constantly under threats, right? Understand that you have personal weaknesses, right? And that you need to reinforce that architecture, right? And this is how you upgrade it, right? You can't upgrade what you don't understand. That's why you need to understand it. That's why you need to understand that it's vulnerable. That's why you need to understand that it's under threat. That's why you need to understand that it has weaknesses. That's why you need to understand that you need to reinforce it, right? It all comes from understanding. In order to upgrade, you have to understand it, right? So here's your fired up understanding protocol, right? First, audit. Study yourself like a system. What triggers you? What patterns repeat, right? And then look at root cause analysis, right? Don't fix symptoms, fix source code, right? And then framework thinking. Understand the architecture, not just the actions, right? And this for this week, this is your action items, right? Journal for like 15 minutes a day. Yeah, just 15 minutes daily. Do it like 15 minutes, right? And then ask yourself, why did I respond that way? What belief system drove that decision? What code is actually running, right? And then, right, we have the letter P. P is in Paul, P as perfection, but P right here is for precision, right? This is your exact calibration, right? Because precision is the difference between a system that works and one that dominates, right? Precision, right? Military operations succeed or fail on precision. Precision in communication, precision in timing, precision in execution, right? And for your upgrade, right? Listen to this. Listen to this. Sloppy upgrades create sloppy systems. Excellence is in the details, right? Like they always say, devil's in the details. Excellence is in the details, right? And here's your fired up precision standard, right? Here's your fired up trained precision standard, right? You need to be able to record specific metrics, right? Right. Get better is not a metric. Increase competence in X by Y% in Z days is precision, right? I just gave you a whole formula for that, right? Exact targets. Know exactly what success looks like, right? Quality control. Review, refine, optimize continuously, right? And this week, take one area of your life, define precise success metrics, measure daily, adjust based on data, right? And that's it. That's the fired up train methodology, right? And the fired up train ignites your system, right? The train operationalize it. This is how you maintain your upgraded OS for long-term performance, right? T is for Tom. T is for T is for thank you, right? And T in this particular case is for training, right? Training, continuous skill development, right? To be exact. The moment you stop training your system, the moment you start to degrade, right? The moment you stop training, your system begins to degrade. No exceptions, right? The Fireboss training protocol, right? 30 days, do something in skill development, right? This is your competence upgrade. Weekly, make sure you're doing some knowledge base acquisition, right? Read, study, learn, right? Monthly, pick a skill, do skill testing, right? Apply what you've learned under pressure. And then quarterly, right? Daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, right? Do a full system audit, right? What's working, what's not, right? And then you ask yourself the why, right? The why. Because the moment you stop training, the moment you recognize and stop asking yourself, you have to you will recognize this. The moment you stop asking about your why, right? The moment you do that is the moment that you will see that you stop training, right? That you will see that you're no longer younger, right? And that you will see that you will fail in hungrier you will fail if it came up to hungrier competitors, right? With better operating systems, right? They will pass you, right? Because training is optional. It's survival, right? It's survival. And R, right? R is for let's see, R is for rock, R is for Romeo, R is for responsibility, right? And responsibility, ownership of your outcomes, right? Responsibility is accepting that you are the system administrator of your life. And the hardest truth that I personally ever learned, right? Every crash, every success, every glitch, every breakthrough, it's all on me. Not my circumstances, not my background, all on me, right? When something went wrong or goes wrong, don't blame everything else around you or other people, right? Blame it on you, not the conditions, right? Ask yourself when that happens, what have you done differently, right? And to upgrade your OS, you have to see that you can't upgrade a system you don't take responsibility for. Victims don't get upgrades. They get replaced, right? Train responsibility protocol is this. Own every result. No excuses, only proactive fixes. Don't wait for problems, anticipate and patch them, right? And this week, every time something goes wrong, ask, how was this my doing? What code in my system have I created this with, right? And then the next letter is A, right? A is for Apple, A is for Adam, A is for sorry. I apologize for that, right? A is for accountability. This is your performance metrics, right? Accountability is having checkpoints that measure whether you upgraded your system and it's actually performing better than your old one, right? Better than your old one, right? We don't do whole factors over here, right? We run systems that we can test, right? We can measure, right? We can verify, right? And we do it constantly, right? For your OS upgrade, you're not measuring. You're not upgrading, right? Because if you're not measuring, you're not upgrading, right? You're running off the hope factor, right? And we don't do hope factor over here. You're just hoping for better. That's not how it works, right? Train your accountability structures, right? You need daily metrics. You need weekly reviews. You need monthly assessments. You need accountability partners. Someone who would tell you the truth, like me. You need some help? You need an accountability partner? I can be that. I can be your accountability partner. Right? Listen. We all need accountability partners, right? Let the final boss community be your accountability, right? When you post your progress, tag the final bosses. When you share your wins, tag smarts. When you document your journey, tag the warriors, right? This week, find one person who will hold you accountable. Set up weekly 15-minute check-ins, right? Report your progress, adjust tactics, right? And then another damn I. I is for igloo. I is for inside. That's where most of us are, inside. And I is for integrity, right? This is your system-wide alignment. Integrity is when every component of your operating system is aligned. Your thoughts, words, and actions run in the same code. Then, and you can test it, right? Do an integrity test, right? If your private operating system and your public operating system are different, you're running on corrupted files, right? You're running on corrupted files, man. Listen, there are leaders out there that will talk you in that will talk to you in one way in briefings and act another way when they're not in the briefing, right? Understand that. Those leaders and those people who are under those type of leaders, they have the lowest morale, right? And the highest failures, right? Understand that, right? He's that particular leader is running off of a corrupted file system, right? Why? Because integrity corruption spreads through the entire system, right? This is why leaders are important. And for your OS upgrade, audit yourself for integrity breaches, right? Say, do you say one thing and do another? Do you promise and not deliver? Do you present one version publicly and operate differently privately, right? Now, listen, a lot of us have been guilty of all of those, including me. I've been guilty of those as well. We're human, right? These things are for you to know. That's how you upgrade, right? Know that you're doing these things so you can upgrade, right? That's what it's all about, right? Because integrity issues cause catastrophic system failures at the worst possible moments, right? And what you need to do, right? This is how you train your integrity protocol, right? You audit again. Ask yourself, are all your systems running the same values, right? Do a consistency check. Is your public behavior matching your private behavior, right? Then you do private tracking. Do you deliver on every commitment, right? And this week, make one commitment, keep it no matter what. Prove to yourself you can hold integrity, right? Integrity. And prove it to yourself, right? Prove it to yourself. And then last, right? The last letter of the fired up train methodology is N, right? N is for Nancy. N is for Negro. N is for navigation, right? Navigation, strategic direction. Navigation is your GPS system, knowing where you are, where you're going, and how to adjust when conditions change, right? The Final Boss navigation system, here it is, right? This is your current position, brutal, honest about exactly where you are right now, this particular moment, right? And then you have to understand your destination, right? Where you're going. You have to have crystal clear vision of your upgraded self. Sounds familiar, right? We talk about vision clarity and the 6 building blocks of reward, right? Vision clarity, crystal clear vision, understanding your destination, right? And then you have to have know your route. You have to know your route, right? You have to know your right. Specific steps, right? Specific steps and where the 6 C's would take you, right? And then you have to have these checkpoints, right? These are the milestones that confirm you're on track. And then, of course, after you, audit, do a recalculation. This is your willingness to adjust when necessary, right? When I was working at the Pentagon, we had to have precise coordinates, right? We had to have precise coordinates, right? And on the battlefield, you need to have precise coordinates, right? For every mission, man. We knew the start point, the destination, the checkpoint, and alternate routes, right? And those extraction points, right? Why? Because in combat, you will get off course, right? If you ever been to the Pentagon and you didn't know where you're going, you would get off course, right? Listen, navigation systems let you recalibrate fast, right? And for your OS upgrade, navigation without honesty is just wandering without a map. Train navigation protocol, right? Do this weekly. Review your 6 C's of progress. See where you're strong at. See where you're weak at, right? Do it in a monthly assessment. Assess if your route is working or needs adjustment. Do it a quarterly adjustment, right? This is more recalibration, right? Recalibrate if necessary, right? Recalibrate if necessary. And this week, write down your exact current position in each of the 6 C's. Rate 1 to 10. Be honest. Identify the lowest score. That's your navigation target, right? And lastly, right? This is the integration model, right? Here's where it all comes together. Final bosses, motivators, smarts, and warriors, right? The 6 C's and fired up train methodology aren't separate systems. They're symbiotic, right? They're symbiotic, right? It's like a marriage, right? Your 6 C's, these are system requirements of what you need to upgrade to. Your fired up train equals the installation and maintenance, right? Of how you execute the upgrade, right? And here's the integration, right? F is for focus, determines which C needs immediate attention. I is for intensity, how you develop competence resilience, right? R builds consistency execution, right? E activates contribution. D is discipline. D strengthens your character, right? And your character understanding. U deepens all 6 C's. Precision optimizes capital allocation. Then think about this, right? Training is key, right? Continuously upgrading competence responsibility. R is solidifies your character accountability. A ensures consistency, integrity. I aligns all 6 C's, right? And navigation strategically builds connections and maximizes contribution. This is the operating system of a final boss, not theoretical, not motivational, systematic, right? And here's the combat application, right? In Afghanistan, I just didn't use courage. I used systems. The 6 C's determined my strategic positioning. The fired up train determined my daily execution. The integration of both kept me alive and effective, right? In the business application, SatDigiNet doesn't succeed on hustle alone. It succeeds on systems. The 6 C's define our strategic architecture. The fired up train defines our operation excellence, right? And legacy application. Every episode of this podcast, every framework I build, every piece of content I create for my beautiful daughter, it's all integrated systems working in harmony. This is how chess pieces become chess masters, right? Now, hold on. This is the upgrade decision. Upgrade decision, right? We're 18 episodes from season 3 finale of The Reckoning. And here's your reckoning for tonight, right? You're running an operating system right now. The question isn't whether it's working. The question is whether it's capable of taking you where you need to go. Your stubbornness, your resistance, your repeated failures are in the same area. They're not character flaws. They're system alerts. They're your internal OS screaming, I'm maxed out. I can't process this requirement. I need an upgrade. You have two choices, right? Choice number one, upgrade. Implement the 6 C's through the Fired Up Train methodology. Systematically rebuild your character architecture. Become a new version of yourself. Claim your sovereignty. Build your legacy, right? Choice number two, become obsolete. Become obsolete, right? Stay comfortable in your current system. Watch opportunities pass you by. Remain a chess piece while others become chess masters. Hit the same ceiling repeatedly. Leave no legacy, right? There's no maintenance mode for greatness. There's only evolution or extension, right? This is your assignment this week, right? Today, Monday. Identify which of the 6 C's is your biggest system bottleneck, right? On Tuesday through Sunday, choose one fired up train principle and apply it to where it's needed, that particular weakness, right? Daily, execute daily, right? Execute daily. Sunday night, document your results, right? That's what you need to do. Share it with the Final Boss community, right? This is Motivation Monday. This is episode 182. This is The Reckoning, right? 18 more episodes to go until the end of the season and step into the rebirth, right? To my smarts, your intelligence means nothing if your operating system can't process it. To my final bosses, your ambition means nothing if your system can't support it. To my motivators, your inspiration means nothing if your people are running outdated systems. To my warriors, your strength means nothing if your character architecture is weak. It's time for you to upgrade your operating system. The world is waiting for you to be the best version of you. And to my beautiful daughter, every framework I build, every system I create, every upgrade I document, it's all for you. This is generational wealth. This is legacy architecture. This is how good old dad turns character into empire, right? Turn character into empire, right? Now, listen, we're about to close out. Right? So we're going out with a bang, right? Final bosses, the train is at the station. You can't board with your current operating system. You've been struggling the entire journey, or you can upgrade now and dominate the ride. The choice is yours. But the train is leaving. Stay fired up. Stay on the train. Stay systematic. And remember, you're not just a chess piece. You're a chess master. Now go upgrade your operating system and dominate your week. This is the Final Boss Podcast. You are aboard the Fired Up Train. And I am here. We are here. This has been episode number 182 of season 3, The Reckoning. 18 more episodes to go. Let's make them count. Thank you for joining us. If all of this resonates with you, please pass it on. Don't gatekeep. Share it with 3 other people, right? And if it does resonate with you, let that marinate in your spine. And remember this, there's a heavy pain that comes with discipline, but the pain of regret is even heavier. Like I said before, we are here. We're on this journey together. I am here, right? I am here. And to each and every single one of you, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. And always be balanced, be equal, and most importantly, be smart. This has been the Final Boss Podcast, episode number 182. I will see you tomorrow for Tech Tuesdays with the Sensei, man. See y'all tomorrow for Tech Tuesdays. This has been the Final Boss Podcast. Thank you. See you then. X wants me to have a premium account.